belabor a point. So let's start discussing character concepts and ideas here and see what we can get meshed into a group. So I saw a few of you had a couple of ideas in the Discord chat room. Anybody set on one of those, or are things still just more or less up in the air?
Mine is still up in the air. We had a private conversation about how well my Void Deviant would work with the theme that you were going, Children of the Plague. So I'm still not opposed to changing that.
So it's just a thought. I know, Gandhi, you were doing Bloodborne LARP, as you so eloquently put it.
That was the original concept, yes. However, I swear it'll be more interesting than that. Maybe. I don't know.
As opposed to Demon Souls and Dark Souls.
Well, that was...
You haven't done...
So, we moved
You haven't
on.
done Sekiro yet.
No, maybe I'll do that for Hunter.
Save me. Save me. So, since that's kind of all up in the air... Oh, I need to assign live. You're here, so let me get you your character sheet. Kind of need access to that, don't you?
Would be useful, yeah.
So, quick question. We are live right now, right?
Yes.
Where's the link? I'm on your page, but I don't see any live things popping up.
Nothing's come up in Discord either.
Okay, that is concerning.
The stream key has just exploded. Don't worry about it.
No,
It'll buff.
the stream key hasn't exploded. Give me one moment. I have no idea why it hasn't posted, but yeah, it's live. Let's see. I will just...
Are you still on Twitch? Or...
No,
Where you're
It's-
doing YouTube now.
Yeah, no, I sort of think, sorry I didn't respond to that, but yeah, I'm on domain, there's nothing streaming.
there's the... I might need to actually hit the save button. Would be helpful. There you go, but that should still take you to the room. Alright, so now that I've got that question out of the way. So let's take a step back here, and did I give... I was working on Vess's character sheet. That's what I was doing. Players assigned to Vess. Alright.
Your video is private.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be.
But it's his. What's the
It
point of
is.
a private stream? We don't want a private stream.
Save. Refresh the page.
We are live.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, welcome to technical difficulties, folks.
Yeah,
Just smile and nod and say we start in 30 minutes.
That's the general chronicles.
there's always technical difficulties. If it's not one thing, it's another. You just get used to it after a while. So, since people are still kind of meandering about their course concepts, do we have any idea with your stat array, such as are you going mental, physical, social, that particular spiel?
Probably social primary, but if we either don't have any mental primary, or if we don't have any mental primaries and really feel the need for one, then I might go with mental primary. But I also don't mind going social primary, mental secondary. I'm just gonna have to work on some more survival or support related stuff for when combat props up.
I was probably gonna go towards like either mental, like probably mental primary, physical secondary for myself.
I was leaning physical primary, mental secondary.
I'm going social primary, physical secondary, and my character is just kind of an idiot.
I haven't entirely decided. I'm gonna go physical, primary, I don't know what's secondary. Maybe mental. Maybe I don't know. I might just flip a coin.
That is,
Yeah, you roll the dice like
in
you've
that
done
case-
before.
yeah.
In that case, I'll go social, mental, physical.
Okay. All of these are going to be just your basic character creation dots, so you feel free to start breaking those up now. And
Cool.
as you do this, hopefully a more solid idea of the... Oh, yes, here we go. Let me pull up my sample character sheet that I was using. Now, unfortunately... for those of you that are new to Roll20, who is newish to Roll20?
I have never used it.
Qualifies as newish.
All right, so Roll20's, let me just phrase it like this. Roll20's Chronicles of Darkness sheets are temperamental. I'll phrase it like that. And a lot of times they don't have the exact number of slots you need for everything. Page 2 and page 3 are generally the better go-tos. I bring this up right now specifically in the because conviction and loyalty, it has it in the same spot as it would have your vice and your virtue. So it's a single text line. The way Deviant works, I doubt a single text line is going to be the best way to handle it. So it might be better to just go ahead and put it on page 3 with the more wide text boxes. Just as a side note, because I'm looking at it right now. So let's see what we got. And all you need to do to fill in dots is you just click the dot and it'll fill it in. So if you want a dot in strength, you just click the second dot and it adds it in. A lot of the stuff it'll auto-calculate as well.
So I have already made most of my character sheet on my computer,
Okay.
just figuring out some skills and stuff. But I don't. Were we supposed to be making it over Roll20?
We do all the dice rolls through Roll20, so all you would really need to do is just copy it over onto Roll20.
All right, I would love to try to do that, but right now I have no idea how this thing works.
Okay, so do you have your character sheet pulled up, or...
Yes.
Okay, so you went to journal, you pulled up the character sheet. Okay, so as stated, let's say you want to do 2 strength, just click the dot right next, the second dot on strength, and it'll fill in the dot.
Is there supposed to be like a PDF or something here?
Okay, so go over to journal. So
I'll stream my screen on Discord. That might be easier.
there we go. It actually just posted it. Let me get you that live. Just one moment. I just saw your message.
Yeah, no worries.
When you have 4 hard drives, things kind of get wonky, don't they?
Yeah. There's more than that. It's just that I know it's on one of those 4. They just all look the same.
So, for Christian here, to get to your character sheet, you'll go to the top right here. This 3rd tab looks like a newspaper.
It's
Click
not
on
at
that.
all on NCN.
Are you in the game?
I think so. I see
Yeah.
half of a page and all of your
Yeah, that's it. You're
all
in.
of your icons.
Do you see the chat log on the side?
Yeah.
Okay, it's right above the chat log. And actually, if you, it might be also prudent to, if you can, share your stream or share your screen over Discord, so we can also see
Okay.
what you're seeing. Okay. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Loading in. Gandhi, are you also checking out the his screen?
Waiting for it to load, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions on how to get to their character sheet, or are their character sheets already open?
Mine is already open.
I'm all good on mine.
Okay. So while we just to confirm, what browser are you using?
Google Chrome.
Google Chrome. Okay. Yeah, Chrome is definitely the one to use. There are some issues with it and Firefox, so I wanted to check that.
I'm just gonna try and reload the page if that's okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's loading up. The share screen isn't loading up either.
That's weird.
So, just checking one thing. Nope, I have to do it from this one. Okay. So, looking over at S, it says character. Okay. So, looking at 323 for mental. 223 for physical.
Mhm.
123.
Yes.
Excellent. What about skills? What are you kind of looking at right now for skills, since skills don't have to line up with your attributes?
Definitely want, say, mental to be secondary. I'm debating on whether or not social or physical primary. Just sort of tossing up ideas in regards to how I really want to portray this character, or at least some concepts that I have.
What are some of those concepts?
Well, the one that I'm entertaining right now is a sort of given a little bit of more information that we have about the conspiracy in general when we do talk about some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that this deviant in particular was not, say, a high-level researcher in the conspiracy itself, but was one of the members who was a part of the projects that were dealing with the contagion. And so, based on some, bad interpersonal relationships and a possibility of flagging him as possibly a whistleblower of what he knows of the organization, he was essentially brought in as a test subject of which he worked on for projects of which he worked on for himself, or at least that's an idea that I have floating around in the air right now.
That sounds good to me. Since you're mentioning the conspiracy, for those of you that didn't see in the chat, Gandhi kind of touched on this a little bit because I had a conversation with Gandhi about it the other day at the end of Geist, actually.
Okay.
It's not necessary. The term Task Force Valkyrie has been thrown around, but it is a bit beyond Task Force Valkyrie. It is more just a shadow government. I'll phrase it like that. Which obviously kind of ropes in Task Force Valkyrie because they're a military organization tied to shadow operations.
Right.
And especially with everything that's went down. Get out of here, bug. They've already taken a pretty big hit, which is why we're starting at the mutation level. Is in-story reasons. That is how you guys got out, essentially.
So related to, say, Task Force Valkyrie and the Web of Pain, but not directly related.
Definitely within the Web of Pain, 100%. But using it's one of those things, a lot of people would assume it's Task Force Valkyrie, but we're never going to actually say it's Task Force Valkyrie because it's one of the... Most units that are like that know not to say their name ever.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Trying to pull false flag operations or just do something highly illegal, you don't really want to, broadcast your organization or who you work for. And you do
exactly. So now that I've got that, now that I'm looking at your sheet, I'm gonna look at somebody else's sheet. I'm pulling up Gandhi's
It's
sheet.
still not working for me.
Yeah, I am getting a notification on Discord. Is currently having reduced video and audio quality due to network conditions.
Oh.
Sorry, I must have... Did I click the wrong button?
What,
I end stream and I heard the disconnect. I hit disconnect.
I think that was me.
yeah, there does seem to be something, because like we were seeing this, or at least I was seeing part of the screen, but the rest of it was green. Like you were attempting to
That's weird.
chroma key. And you are reading as, your connection is reading as red as well.
On Discord?
No, I'm seeing the connection, on Vito Ninja. It's not your CPU overloaded, it's just it looks like a connection issue.
Is my picture alright at least?
Stuttery.
Stuttery and a bit laggy here and there.
Let me try and reduce some of the quality.
Gandhi, let me see what you got here. What are you doing for your skills?
What did I do? I did physical, mental, social, I think.
And then 222 for mental, 323, and then 223. All right. Vess, let's see what you're up to on your sheet.
Not much at the moment.
Still just waiting for more concepts to actually become more solidified?
Yeah, still figuring out what would work best for the group. At the moment, out of the concepts that aren't currently character sheets, I have 2 different chimerics thought up, a mutant, and what I'm assuming is going to be a cephalist. So
Nice.
we've got the cephalist starting out would be a deviant with a memory thief variation, and the tabula rasa scar tied to a different variation that they use pretty frequently. And the idea is, all right, cool, they need to use this other variation more often, say for the group safety, their own safety, probably a combat related variation. They lose these memories, they're terrified of losing pieces of themselves, and so they use Memory Thief to pick some of the pieces back up, either from people around them or from others, because they want to hold themselves together. And they think taking memories from others is the best way to do that. So that was one that I thought could be pretty fun.
I personally like it. If my opinion accounts for anything, I started to smile when you were explaining that. So I mean, if that tells you anything.
Nice.
The other wouldn't start out at their full concept due to the mutation level, but they could get up there by racking up its stabilities, which wouldn't be hard to work towards. This one also plays around with memory loss a bit, but doesn't have to. I just thought it could be interesting. Just a rapid healing 5 base mutant with very little health, and uses the target restriction deviation along with a loophole in rapid healing 5 to essentially resurrect from a coffin each time that they die. But the catch is that there's going to be something to do, and again, memory loss was the first thing that popped up, but each time that they sort of store a piece of themselves in that coffin, so to speak, and that's kind of like a safe state for their state of being. So if they store a piece of themselves in the coffin, go out and die somewhere, the version of themselves that comes out is the same one that stored themselves in. They're not going to really remember what got them killed, and they're going to need the group probably to catch them up. And then the other two are just chimerics. There was a plant-based one that was more about poison, stealth, infiltration, probably physical secondary, and then primary mental or social. Probably themed around Hemlock, but not sure what plan yet. I like the idea of stealth and infiltration for it, but that was the reason that I asked about like what kind of conflict resolution the group trends towards, because could have a character that goes in and quietly assassinates the targets, but if we're going loud a little more often, maybe not so much for this one. And then the last one is like very loose. I don't have much solidified, but it would just be a bird-based chimeric with freedom-related mental scars. And it could be either a songbird, which would be social primary easily, or a bird of prey, which could be social primary or physical primary. Works either way. I am liking the memory deviant a lot.
Char, have you been able to fix your roll 20? Just checking in.
I have not. All it's doing is showing me the bit of the page that says what can cause instability and nothing else.
Yeah, so it's not even showing the chat window.
It's showing the chat window. Nothing, none of the rest of the book or anything.
The whole book's not there. It's just all we have on the background is a couple clips from the book and then a fancy little deviant skull. Like that's just the game board that we don't use because we don't do grid combat chronicles.
So above the chat window, do you see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 icons?
Yes.
You're going to click on the newspaper looking one in the middle. It's called Journal.
Okay.
And then you're going to see it's going to have a small segment that says characters. Click on the one that has your username. And then it'll bring up a separate screen with the actual character. It'll start off in bio and info. And then you can move it to character sheet.
There we go.
There's your character sheet. Now it's open. Okay, good.
Now I just need to get everyone else's icons off my screen because they're all over it and I don't know how to move them.
All of those settings are in the gear icon.
Okay.
Sorry. I really wish I wasn't operating on one screen right now. And then I believe it's audio and then video display. And then you should be able to turn it to names only.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
There you go. All right, so yeah, honestly, Vess, I really like your memory thief idea as well. I'm just gonna be honest.
All right, I'll probably go with that one then. Yeah, if none of those ones stuck, I was probably just gonna go with or modify one of the pre-existing brewed up sheets that I had. But the memory thief does sound pretty fun.
Essence, since they got into their oh, my brain just spazzed. Their origin, or more their clad. Sorry.
Right.
What clad are you looking at?
Clads in particular, I was debating either going for a cephalist or perhaps even a mutant themselves. Just depending on... While I'm more leaning towards the researcher concept as a base, possibly for an origin of an epimorph, I also have another concept in mind for a... what was it? A genotypal? Which sort of piggybacks off of that prior concept, if you would like me to explain more about that.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Essentially, for that sort of concept I had for that character is that it sort of follows along with the idea of a researcher who was going to whistleblow, but instead, they brought them in as a test subject, and one way or another, while they were doing experimentations with them, they died. But however, this particular researcher was pregnant beforehand and gave premature birth to a child who ended up as a deviant from the experimentations dealing with the divergence. So it's less that the researcher themselves was divergent, but more that now they have this artificial half-baked human that they can now do a lot of experimentation on further in a more original state and have a lot more control over in that regards for their origin. But for that concept, I was leaning towards mutant as well, or possibly a cephalist. But those are the two clades that I'm sort of interchangeably mixing in my head right now in regards to stuff for variations and how I want to portray them and what type of scars make sense for that sort of thing.
All right.
Because I've got quite a similar concept, so if you want to choose one, I will take the other. Because those are the two that I was looking at as well.
Oh.
Your choice.
Oh, really?
Your choice.
Definitely. In regards to just the clade ability, I like the cephalist. I've never actually played a cephalist deviant, so that would be pretty nice. But mutants themselves they're a lot of fun in that they're kind of just wrecking balls waiting to happen with the amount of instability that they gain. So it's I don't know. I think mutant would be fun to play. And I think the second concept would be a lot more interesting, basically piggybacking off of that original concept. So I think I might go for a mutant.
Cool.
All right. So, Live, you're going cephalist as well then?
I am, yeah.
All right. So pretty much just the same idea that Essence was going with, just you're it's gonna be obviously your take on it.
Right, of course.
Char, what about you for your clad?
Did we lose him?
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep not noticing when you don't say the full word, and I'm like, wait, did you just say? Oh, you're talking to me. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I've decided. My brain has decided to abbreviate your screen name into Char. Sorry.
That's okay. So I'm going with a Chimera with a focus on monstrous transformation, and then outside of that, focusing on some more generic physical things like lashes and brachiation.
Okay, so chimeric with. What are you kind of thinking for like their origin as well?
Exorgic. Like, he did not choose this, he was just snatched off the street.
Okay. Snatched off the street. Alright.
Specifically, he was the only person on a bus aside from some lady who put on a gas mask, and then everything went dark.
That bus ride from hell comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that brings me to Gandhi, because I know you were kind of thinking of something to do with monstrous transformation as well.
Yeah, so I was gonna go with a what are the fancy words? Autourgic, the elective and chimeric.
As well.
Also based around monstrous transformation. I haven't entirely decided what I want to kind of pick with that, but I think where did I had it written down notepad somewhere. It was a lash tied into inhuman digestion, which lets you channel it so that you can bite with that variation with the lash. Because biting with ag sounds very stupid and fun.
Oh no.
Well, you don't like the ag melee attack that heals on dealing damage? You don't like the lifesteal ag armor piercing? I think I was gonna do like 3 tight, like obviously I have to push it to magnitude 5 because, well, that's how you play. You just make your character suffer.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I think I was gonna do 3 magnitude 3s tied into that monstrous transformation.
I love how everybody said three people in the group were just like, "Yep, make character suffer. Got it."
Makes me glad I didn't go with one of the other concepts I had brewed up.
Yeah, I was gonna tie it to involuntary stimulus and bestial mind. I think that was what I was debating, but I'm not. I haven't decided yet.
I guess that leaves us with Poot.
Yeah, so I was doing exomorph, unwilling, coaxive was the original plan with an abyssal theme to it, if that's allowed. They were going to be also have the amalgam in symbiote forms, so that they're constantly having a voice in their head with its own goals, tell me what it wants to do, even if my character doesn't want to do that. And so they're going to be constantly worried about, well, am I losing my mind? Because eventually, even though I'm starting physical, I want to get the hallucination scar, not at start, but down the road, so that it really seems like, oh, they're out of it, they're losing it. I don't particularly like the coaxive abilities. I much prefer the mutant abilities, though. So I could probably do the same thing, but with mutant. I don't know. thematically it fits more with coaxive, but I prefer the mutant abilities.
So, with that, with you saying if that's allowed, I've actually thought about it a little bit further, and I said something to Gandhi.
Did you?
I said something to Gandhi that I just happened to remember that I did say. And it was more of a passing joke comment, but
Oh, that's how it always starts.
I think I'm gonna run with it, and I'm gonna say you're okay on that idea.
Cool. Can I know what you said to him?
I don't remember what this was.
I think I made the passing joke, oh yes, infect non-existence.
Oh, that, yeah.
So,
Yeah, because I really wanted the amalgam and symbiote forms, but I wasn't particularly interested in having the contagion whispering in their head. I'd prefer a third party, not allied, but not against, wants to do its own thing. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
All I'm saying is, if you go infect the abyss, then I'm gonna have no qualms about bringing my mage into the final game.
Moving beyond that, since forms have now been brought up, any idea on any forms that you guys are wanting to take? As Pooter just said, symbiote and amalgamation. I remember somebody had mentioned transmissible. When
I mentioned transmissible beforehand.
Yeah, you were asking if everybody was going to take it.
Just given to the nature of the game, of course. And contagion is like, oh, contagion, transmissible, sickness usually spreads from vectors. So, but it's something that I'm still have on my mind, especially if I'm now going for the born mutant concept. I might actually take transmissible. So, we'll see. I'm still mulling it over in my head.
Gandhi?
What? What was the question?
Forms.
No, I don't think I'm going to take any forms. The only form that would make sense would be transmissible, but I mean, it doesn't really do much, does it? Other than put more narrative things on the table, and well, you don't need me to take that to make other NPCs suffer, do you?
Well, NPCs are already going.
I would rather not have to fight more of this character in later. Thanks.
Totally just say screw it and we all go devoted.
I'll get to that in a bit.
Right, of course.
I'll get to that in a moment. Jumping ahead of me here. Vess?
Depending on how I engineer this character's backstory, big maybe on amalgam, and their potential character arc. I'm thinking, depending on what their stance on losing and stealing memories is, maybe it would be informed or influenced by being made up of multiple people, or having the experience of multiple people or past lives. So, not sure yet. That's gonna depend on how I want that character's arc to go and what defines their views on their condition and what drives them to keep taking memories from others.
All right. So we'll see how things go, essentially. Live?
Doesn't really fit, unless bleeding eyes counts.
So no forms for you either?
No. Doesn't work, just more side effects.
All right. Char?
No, none that I can think of that I'd want to take.
All right, so it looks like we have 2 Cephalus, possibly a coactive because you're still deciding on that, and mutant. 1 guaranteed mutant, and then you are also we've got 2 chimerics, or were you set on that, Gandhi?
I mean, if I want to do monstrous transformation, I kind of have to go chimeric.
Okay, fair enough.
I could make it work with a mutant. But I think I'm leaning towards chimeric.
So 2 chimerics, 2 Cephalus, and possibly 2 mutants, or 1 mutant and a coactive.
Cool.
So that's what we're kind of looking at for clads. And origins, I heard we have 1 elective, 1 born,
Yep.
2 unwilling, or 1 unwilling?
Born.
Well, 2
Let's go.
born. Okay.
2 born, yeah.
2 born. Ooh, nice.
I think Christopher's was also unwilling. Snatched off a bus.
Yeah.
So 2 unwilling. That's what I thought. And then, what was yours again, Vess?
I'll figure that one out in a few.
Okay. So not decided.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be an elect. I don't believe they're gonna be self-made, but yeah, not quite sure yet.
No, that's perfectly fine. That's why we're here. Also, at this point, does anybody have any questions relating to background story information that would help their character form a bit further?
Yeah, how well known is whatever plague is going around? Is it like, are people reacting to it like it's a pandemic, or is it not? Is it only happening in pockets here and there?
Okay, so I think Gandhi touched on this as well. Gandhi tends to jump ahead and answer questions that are directed.
Yeah,
at
don't
me.
worry. You don't need the storyteller. I'll ramble about the lore.
No.
Are they answering questions no one asked?
Yeah, kind of. So
Yeah.
I'm just playing a mage. Don't worry about it.
we are at the point in the timeline of events where people are actively dying of said contagion. So it's the startup to the contagion was very, very slow. I've described it as sometimes this takes years to actually kill a person. The way it works is it's a very slow burn. It's agonizing. It's not something anybody ever wants to go through. It was released in 2016, and that's when Patient Zero started, and it started to spread in the modern day. So we're looking to be in 2026, give or take, that range. So roughly 10 years. People are actively dying. I'd have to double confirm with Changeling. I'm not sure if I stated exactly how the percentage of the infected, but we're looking at probably 50 to 60% of the world at this point actively suffering from it. I know by the time of Promethean, which is 2029, and Mummy, which is 2030, 90% of the world's population has fallen. So we're at the stage now, people are dying, governments are taking notice, they are becoming more stringent with lockdown situations. Not nearly as bad as it gets. But that's kind of where we're sitting at. It's to the point where it absolutely cannot be ignored.
I have a question. Since it may not apply to mine, so since the deviants are experimented on with the contagion in mind, are they immune?
Okay, I'm gonna phrase it like this. It does apply to your character.
I figured.
Let me start with that. My answer to that is I can't answer it, honestly.
Fair enough.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's I was sitting here trying to think of a way I could answer it, and there's just unfortunately no way I can answer that at this point in time.
That's fine. I figured our characters probably wouldn't know anyway, so
That will be answered within the course of this chronicle. I will say that.
Do have a question more about the conspiracy. Do we have any idea in regards to, like, given that we were deviants for them, like their tenets, goals, like little snippets of what they were essentially all about?
Okay.
Especially with the contagion in mind.
Yeah. So, let me actually answer that question with a question. Sorry. I have to do that. When we're looking at the timeline of your deviants, how long ago were you guys, in some cases, taken? In Gandhi's case, when you elected for service, how long were you thinking for your characters to actually have been in the control of Black Ops government? I'll just phrase it like that for now.
What I've got for my character is that it's because he was born because he was obviously since birth, but until there was that kind of like going into the program, it was massively unstable. So going into the program means that there's now a little bit of control over it. Before you had like a also in the hands of a petulant teenager, the kind of level of power that probably they shouldn't that should have been kind of caught up with earlier. So
likely the same for my case. Oh,
yeah.
My bad. Yeah.
No. So I was just going to ask, does that work with your kind of plan narrative?
That's perfectly fine. So, how?
Cool.
Well, you stated so. Kind of. There was a time where you weren't. Then they brought you in. You learned to control your abilities to an extent. How old is your character now? Like, how long have you been there?
Sorry, I've actually got my workings out. He's 28.
28. Okay.
I'd say for me, roughly a little bit younger, maybe 25, 26.
Okay. So, and how long have you been with the conspiracy?
Likely for him, this character, typically for most of their life, but the variations in regards to actually being manifested and given he's a mutant for some sort of baseline of stability that they can actually work off of, probably would have been intensive experimentation or documentation about it for like maybe 5-6 years.
Okay.
Other than that, they probably have just been watching him, noting any sort of irregularities or like any shifts into like any variations that he has, given that he is a mutant and that he doesn't exactly fit into one specific category. So
I reckon my character's been in the program longer than they know, and it was probably like a doctor, like family doc or whatever, like is associated with conspiracy, and is basically from his sort of prepubescent age, he's just been fed a string of medications which has kept this thing at bay. And then as he's gotten older, and the doses have to be made stronger and stronger to the point where it's actually like, then he was brought into the conspiracy as a kind of active participant.
All right. So, so for those two, this question actually kind of goes for everybody too, because that obviously, this, especially for Essence, your character might have a better idea than, let's say, Gandhi's character who joined up a year ago.
Right.
So that's why I'm kind of trying to get a gauge on how long everybody's been associated with them. So basically, for your character in live, you guys have 10 plus years. Is anybody else on par with that?
I'm starting to think my character. A good motivator could be that my character doesn't know either how long or why they're with the conspiracy and wants to recover that memory. So as part of their conviction touchstone, because your conviction touchstone usually has something to do with the conspiracy, could be stealing that memory back from a high enough ranking conspiracy member. And that also takes me back as far as the origin related questions go. What is it that the conspiracy looks for in deviants? Like, what's their motivation for finding, capturing, or making their own deviants?
This specific organization, they are part of the American government, so one of their things is furthering American interests. And it's very much an us before them mentality. I will say that they were operating with various contagion vectors in hopes of better understanding this particular strand of contagion. I say that because this organization would have previous knowledge of other supernatural templates as well. They would know werewolves exist and the like. They would also know that this contagion also affects them. So they know werewolves can catch this, geist can catch this, so on and so forth. So their heavy focus was research on this particular sickness. I'll phrase it like that. They would also be aware that it's all one sickness despite it having different vectors. There's a bacterial form, there's a viral form, there's a pyron form, there's a fungal form. They're aware of this. But they also are aware that it's the same disease at the end of the day. If that answers your question.
Yeah.
Pooter.
Yes.
How long has your character been kind of involved?
Not overly long. I was thinking maybe between 2 and 5 years, somewhere around there.
Okay.
They were going to be fairly young as well, 18 to 20.
Gandhi?
Yeah, I imagine they probably haven't been there for very long. They probably signed up once everything started actively going down the drain. So, a year at best, probably.
I don't know. I kind of assumed that. Kind of assumed it was the year.
Maybe it's not even a year. I don't know. You
Uh,
want me to roll a 365-sided dice? I diverged a day ago.
They walked in the door and were handed a pill. There you go.
Char?
So I'm taking the flashback merit, and my general idea is it could have been weeks, it could have been a year. He doesn't know. It's all very hazy.
Okay, so kind of the same. not exactly the same, but kind of the same ordeal as Vess's character. Not quite sure how long. Your character's not quite sure how long.
Like a little bit probably before lockdowns got really intense, but that I'm not sure how long ago that was, and I don't mind not knowing.
Specifically, people were still living daily life fairly regularly up till, well, Changeling, but Changeling's not a good indicator because Changeling was in the middle of nowhere. So they had a decreased population. Since this is taking place in Washington, D.C., it's probably been bad here for about 1 to 2 years.
Okay. So maybe a year and a half. I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. Alright, so, as for all of that stuff that I had just kind of said, definitely Essence and Live, your characters would kind of know that whole spiel. Everybody else, since you're roughly underneath the 5-year mark, or your character has memory issues regarding the exact amount, you would definitely still have the... You would have at least an understanding that this is definitely an American organization and probably governmental. So you would have the assumptions that they're doing stuff in the best interests of the country, quote unquote. I use quotations there because best interest is not a great word. While Live and Essence, your characters would understand that most definitely it is governmental, and they really don't care about anybody else. They will take what they can get when they can get it, and if that means that a town somewhere has to go up in smoke, well, there's going to be a smoke cloud.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to kind of look in at people's character builds right now. So also, Char, it looks like you took a point in acclamation.
Oh, that's
no,
default.
That wasn't.
You have to
Technically,
unclick
there are
that.
only 5 of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, unfortunately, these character sheets are built in a piggyback fashion. So the base character sheet was created, and then a variation of that character sheet was created for Vampire. Then a variation of Vampire was created for every single other splat. So basically, when it sees acclamation, the character sheet sees that as blood potency, primal urge. Yeah,
I'm going to spend 5 merits on a dot or just kicking things off.
you are taking acclamation, and
Yeah, but I'm spending a.
yeah, the
You can
5.
spend 5 merit points. Yeah, so I'll spend the 5 on that.
Anybody else doing that?
No.
Doing what? Sorry.
Spending part of your starting merits for acclamation.
I might possibly do that as well, given that it makes sense narratively. He's been in for a while and probably wouldn't spend a lot of merits for like social connections or anything of that sort. But we'll just see in regards to like what type of merits I have in mind for him.
How's every?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Speaking of that, let's go into skills. Vess, what skills are you currently? What's your breakdown, and what's kind of your character's focus skill-wise?
Let's see. It's gonna be Physical skills, secondary likely. I'm thinking of having that lash they use, or I'm thinking of having that variation they use frequently tied to tabula rasa be a lash, though that is still subject to change. And if that is going to be, it's probably going to be physical secondary, just so they have a half decent pool for it. So I'm not sure if it's going to be a more destructive lash or a gentle one. As for primary, they are acephalous, so the usual course of action might be mental primary, but depending on which scar I tie to memory thief, I'm gonna have to decide between mental and social.
Yeah.
And then I may build my merits around that.
Again, I'm happy if you want to make a choice there. I can take the other option because I'm cephalist as well. So.
All right. I will peruse scars real quick. I was thinking glitch at first, but I'm gonna see if I can find any scars that I enjoy a bit more.
We're getting ready to talk about scars as well, for those people that have questions on scars. I just want to get through skills first. Char?
Oh, sorry. For skills, I'm going with mental last, and I'm still conflicted as to whether I want to do physical or social first. But he's somewhat of a social character, but that's more, scamming people, things like that. He's definitely gotten in trouble with the police a few times, and he's gotten in bar fights and all that stuff. So I'm not sure which one of those I'm prioritizing yet.
Okay, that's fair. Essence?
Whatever.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, whatever a Vegas roadie is, that was him. And
A Vegas
that's
roadie.
the atmosphere in which he spent.
For my character, I imagine social definitely being tertiary, but also possibly physical being primary with mental as secondary, with a bit of a more of a focus in social for subterfuge, and physical especially evened out with stealth and larceny. I imagine like when he was a lot younger, going through his teenage rebellious stage, that he tended to try and break out a lot from the facility, and possibly even got involved in regards to like seeing a little bit of the outside world, which may have caused like some little isolated pockets of contagion. I think I definitely am going with transmissible. Little isolated pockets of contagion in certain areas, which obviously the conspiracy had to completely like wipe out and sterilize. So that way that little pocket and outbreak just didn't explode into a much bigger, larger spreading vector like what we have now today in modern day, or in modern day in the game.
All right.
Likely mixing with crafts and science as well for mental. Crafts, especially because I imagine that, with him also being mental primary, he's a pretty crafty dude who probably had to jury rig a lot of like electronics or various other things to actually get out of a highly top secret government facility, or at least wherever they put him, for the time being, in educating him or just seeing what sort of things tick, and investigation for figuring stuff out, and how, the structure of that place worked. He's not especially super rebellious in regards to like getting out, because the conspiracy was essentially all he knew, but obviously someone would be curious, and at this point in the story, he's now out, and he's like, okay, so...
And oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
No, I was just gonna say, speaking on that, where you guys were kept, this is where I have to. a government facility underneath the Pentagon where its main entrance was a trapdoor in the Pentagon subway.
Okay. Interesting.
Subway as in the restaurant.
The restaurant subway.
Because there is a
So Subway is the front.
Subway is the front.
there is a subway in the Pentagon.
I mean, we don't have to go with that big, the only entrance. You know, that was just the one we found in Money.
I'm not saying it was the only
I'm doing
entrance.
your own little recon in regards to inside the Pentagon. We're finding out. Whoa, what's the best front inside the Oh, a subway. That's perfect.
Where
So
someone
hearing-
no one will ever go. Subway.
What I'm hearing is one of our characters has to take a conviction touchstone for like a subway manager.
Subway.
Or just the subway in general, like fuck it.
They have
love the, or,
The
sorry, screw it,
entire
love the location.
franchise.
They can take a Bane for Subway.
Oh,
But
man.
as Gandhi pointed out, no, it's not the only entrance. It's just the one that is canonical. Like 100%, it's canonical. It's there.
Your Divergence was just a really bad Subway sandwich.
Gandhi.
They have a bane
Yeah,
for
well,
They put the
styrofoam.
wrong toppings on, bro. They put that divergent sauce in.
They put that soul-shattering cheese on.
Styrofoam bread. That's their bane.
The soul hurting juice.
So, Gandhi,
Yeah.
your skills.
Oh, let me tab back into my character sheet. That might help. Yeah, I went physical, mental, social. I mean, nothing incredibly out of the ordinary. We got some athletic. We got a little bit of brawl, with firearms, a little bit of survival, a little bit of investigation. Not very hyper-focused in anything.
Okay.
because,
So
well,
more
why
of a
not?
generalist.
I think I'm going mental primary. And I might not end up going physical secondary, not sure yet, but I am going to go mental primary. I think for the scar, amnesia would be really fitting for this character. But addictive variation, that sounds like a really good recipe for like pain.
Always inflict more pain.
So, I have a stupid idea.
Amnesia or addictive variation.
The best idea.
So I know you were talking. You probably just haven't gotten into it at this point. But if we were talking about what specific strain each deviant has of the contagion, and I think it was suggested that I might go parasite. Can I take the Manticore merit and have a little baby scorpion thing from Changeling? The disappointment on his face.
No, it's not actually disappointment. I'm considering it. Hold on.
Have a little munchkin with us all the time.
The Manticore merit is worth talking about in general.
Mhm.
Because unless you give it like pretty clearly defined like separate will and intentions, if it's acting under the player's will, that's like 5 merit dots for essentially, like a 5 dot scars worth of variations. That could be like 2 4 dots or a 5 dot, 3 dots, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I haven't even
Because
really
that's
read
how
the merit
a
yet. I'm just
Manticore's,
scrolling through the
variations
book and
work.
seeing it's a merit. I'm like, oh, that'd be stupid, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Let me read
Manticore.
how it works. Give me a second.
Yeah, the Manticore merit. It's something that I also saw, and it was one of those things that my brain immediately flagged it. Like, I know what a Manticore is, because I read the lore. So I'm like, that is something I'm gonna actually have to read further into. I did not get around to it, but it is something that I know has the potential to go a little overboard.
Yeah.
Just have
If
a
it's
deranged
used-
raccoon that can raise the dead.
Oh no, not the raccoons again.
Oh, man.
Yes, the raccoons.
The dead
Definitely
raccoons in
has,
the underworld. We need to.
potential
Was
for
this a
like
thing?
power gaming.
I'm
It
disappointed.
can also be used to expand character concepts or help realize them, so it all just depends on the usage.
Yeah,
Hmm.
right now, generally speaking, the way I handle those type of characters is they are allied to the PCs. However, they are not in control. You guys are not in control of them. They are NPCs, so they do have a will of their own. However, they're generally obviously loyal. If the conspiracy captures them, they're not just going to immediately roll over, assuming they have the ability to even give information, because the intelligence is, it depends. So I generally am in control of them.
Is this when I make it a loyalty touchstone somehow?
You would still be in control of it.
Oh, yeah.
Live.
Yeah.
So, Vest, they're going mental primary.
I'll go social primary.
Okay.
All right, do me proud.
Yeah, I've got something working out something. I like it so far.
The wheels are turning.
Wheels and wheels.
Hooter.
Yes, I'm going physical primary, social secondary, mental thirdary.
So
And with amalgam, I took -6 skill points, so
okay.
those will get used during the game.
All right. So with that, I feel like we have a pretty good spread, skill and attribute wise. So, I stated we were now going to talk about scars.
Here we go.
Yes, which obviously the follow-up to scars is variations. Now, I'll wait for Gandhi to get back.
Are we doing variations first, or because that seems to lead in on scars?
They are kind of intermixed here, so
Right.
because generally you're taking the scar first, and then you're lacing the. I use the term lacing. That's probably not the correct word, but it's the one that's coming to my head right now. Lacing it into the entangling it, entangling the variation to the scar.
Sure.
So that's why I decided scar here first. So, Hooter,
Yes.
what scars are we looking at? Oh, now that Gandhi's back, actually, before you do that, everybody.
I had my headset on the whole time. You
Oh.
can keep talking.
Everybody, you're going to take one scar that cannot be entangled, and at this point, you're just going to put it on your sheet as question mark, question mark, question mark.
Where are we adding? Where are we adding that?
Scars and variations.
Yeah, at the top there is a fourth section that says scars and variations.
So you just add it. What magnitude is this unknown scar?
Question mark, question mark, question mark.
I don't see that on the dot list here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna assume that's one.
or you
Is
just
it
leave it.
overt, subtle, controlled?
Controlled, involuntary, persistent, physical, social, what is it?
We're playing 20 questions.
Keywords, deviations?
I put it under keywords deviations. I put plot point.
Yes,
There you go.
that's definitely the way to phrase it.
MacGuffin.
Okay, I wouldn't go quite MacGuffin far.
No?
I imagine persistent too.
It's gonna be
activate.
persistent, yes.
Okay.
Well, see, here's the thing. I could also see it falling underneath involuntary. It's one of those where both of those work. But just put it under persistent for now. That'll
Si
definitely.
quieres dos? No, you can't do that.
Yeah, and it would be subtle. And type mental.
Mental. Okay.
Sorry, what was the first one you popped for me?
It's going to be. It is activation mode is persistent.
It's just cool. That was it. I got the rest. It was just a little bit of pop.
No, you're perfectly fine. Now, the way this is going to work is eventually I will reveal this scar, and once I reveal it, you'll be able to start entangling variations to it.
Awesome, sweet.
Wait, so are you deciding what the scar is, or do we?
Just this scar.
This scar,
Just this one.
yeah, just this one scar. This is an extra scar added on that it's like, as Gandhi kind of stated, it's a plot point. So it's a custom created scar by me. That's not going to be revealed quite yet.
My money is on this is the funny scar that just kills us when we meet the actual contagion or something.
It is not a kill switch.
I'm sorry, it's the mind control switch where we turn on the rest of the party.
It is a mental scar.
Involuntary stimulus for when we see Subway commercials.
Oh my goodness.
Some kind of subliminal conditioning.
Uh,
I was going to say, if it's being sick in your mouth, that's perfectly normal for Subway commercials.
I love. Sometimes I like to add in a little bit of chaos and paranoia, and that's what this is. This is the chaos and paranoia part that I love sticking in.
Bold of you
Thanks.
to assume I have enough wrinkles in my brain to get paranoid about things.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to assume. So, Pooter,
Yes.
scars
Scars.
that you actually have
So,
control over. Or, well, maybe in some cases you don't.
You mean scars I choose?
Yes, exactly.
So I'm looking at conspicuous appearance. So being tied to the abyss, I'm imagining they have what appear to be tattoos, but they're constantly slowly moving, and they're different for every person that looks, and they're different every time you look away.
That is very overt. I'm going to.
Well, it's gonna start like on the arms, so they could put like sleeves over it, and
Yeah. All right. Uh,
I was also looking at fragility for another. Well, we haven't talked about variations yet, but fragility as well. There's a few I've been looking at.
fragility. What rank are you thinking of taking for the scar?
Well, if I'm taking both, it'll be one in each because that's the max we can get.
Yeah.
It's two, right?
The max.
You can take more scars than you have. Like, you can bump it immediately up to 5 if you wanted to, technically.
Right.
And you can take unentangled scars on character creation.
That's also true.
Yeah. So I mean, you legitimately could kill your character at
Just
character
right at
creation.
character start.
I mean, I wouldn't
think-
recommend doing that, but I mean, it is technically within your power to do.
You can do it if you're not a coward.
I'm doing it.
Exactly.
All right. Well, if that's the case, because I wanted a lot of rank 5 variations, so rank 5 scars is gonna happen.
Yeah,
If
so
I'm taking.
the way it works, so like if you have one unentangled scar, when you get the second, it has to be magnitude 2.
Yeah.
When you get the third, it has to be magnitude 3, etc. Up until 5.
And then it would just be 5, 5, 5, 5, 5.
Until you entangle them.
If I'm taking unentangled scars at character creation, I could have amnesia be the unentangled scar, and then I could put addictive variation on memory thief. So I could get both of them.
But where does it say about being able to just take more scars at character creation? Because I was looking for that.
Oh, where was it? I saw that
Is
too.
it-
Let me pull up the page.
It's
I
it's-
always.
It's
sorry.
under like scar basics.
Yeah.
Or unentangled scars,
it-
page 111.
Yeah, it's around like 110, 111.
Hmm.
I always.
It's the last paragraph in unentangled scars.
Yeah, the basics of like character creation get broken up in the middle by the merit section, And it's always really confusing trying to remember if these character creation basics come before or after the merit section. I don't know why the merit section is like smack dab in the middle of it, but
Because it's a Chronicles book and is legally, by Paradox, is forced to have bad formatting. It's in the contract.
Yeah, it's yes. They they just have they just pick page numbers out of a hat and go, where are you putting this? That will do. Send it to print.
If the Deviant, hold on.
so let's see. I will make Amnesia the Unentangled one, and Addictive Variation can be
So
the funny one.
live, what scars are you looking at? Are you going as ham as Pooter and trying to kill your character at character creation?
As tempting as that is, I think. I mean, I'm looking for ones that this is typical me of things that are like interesting story wise. So I am looking at hallucinations.
Oh, funny. I was also thinking of hallucination.
So was I. Let's all live in our own little world.
Just hallucinating different things. Like, oh wow, that's a really strangely colored bird. Wait, no. What do you mean? That's a giant
Snake.
yellow jacket.
That's it, yeah.
I'm seeing a flying bus. It's like, oh yeah.
That's
okay.
a flying Subway sandwich.
Could also take glitch as well. Glitch is also one that I was thinking. But you
I was
continue
thinking
live.
glitch earlier.
I mean, certainly, narratively, the one that fits is concentration.
Okay.
I mean, I'm looking at telepathy at the moment as a variation, so
Okay.
concentration kind of fits with that.
Concentration's always hard to do. In my personal opinion, I've always struggled with concentration myself. Gandhi?
Well, the one that actually has something tied into it is going to be involuntary stimulus with the what's the fancy word? Deviation. The indelible mark to tie another scar into it. That being Bestial Mind. So that pushes it up to 5. So 3 of involuntary, 2 of Bestial Mind. I think that's how that works.
I think so.
If I can read correctly.
So
Yeah.
at 2 dots, you suffer the bestial condition.
Yes. Whenever the variation tied to it turns on.
Yeah, and then persistent variation persistent drawback is a really fun scar because you could choose for it to always be on for +1, but otherwise it's just when the variation tied to it is active.
And you said involuntary stimuli?
Yes. And I think, again, this is where the Bloodboard LARP comes in, and I may just make it blood.
So whenever you see blood, your bestial mind kicks in, essentially.
To TLDR, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to go with insistent or reactive. Well, actually, no. I'm at 3, so I do both. Unless you consider blood to be common, which would give it a +1 magnitude, but it's probably not. Yeah.
It depends on how you guys go. Blood may be very close. But I would say it's not common enough in everyday.
No, it's not common enough to fit the examples of room temperature or fluorescent lighting.
No,
No. So
Essence.
In regards to scars, and I had ideas either between hallucinations and glitch, and the main cause specifically for hallucinations was that given that he's born, he was a premature birth from the experimentations they were doing to the researcher who was about going to whistleblow, and they were trying to force divergence onto her. And so essentially the hallucinations would manifest in not so extensively to the point where it's like an amalgam or possibly even an alternate persona, which I mean it could also go that way as well, or for her to be like a symbiote in that she directly controls the variations, but in enough of a nuisance where like her intrusive thoughts, her like memory signatures or anything of that sort, her voice, or even she just appears out of nowhere physically, she just comes up every now and then. I could also just pair it as well with like persistent drawback with hallucination to make it a controlled scar instead. But those are my ideas in regards to that. And to that sort of like his scars are especially more personal to like how he diverged and how he was made.
And that's specifically for hallucination. What about, because I know you're also thinking of glitch.
Glitch would work in the same way, but just manifesting in less of a physical mirage of, say, actual visages. It's just intrusive thoughts.
Okay.
Or disruptions, or just auditory overload, or something of that sort.
All right.
From past memories of her. Nothing super story significant, but just emotions.
Okay.
Emotions tied to memories, but not the memories themselves, because I imagine
Emotional damage.
emotional damage. Exactly.
Char?
I'm taking I am going to be taking a dot in conspicuous appearance, and that's going to be tied into a dot of enhanced strength, and then going to take a persistent drawback, alternate bestial persona for my monstrous transformation dots. So, yeah.
All right. Vess?
Sorry, I was scrolling through the book again. What's up?
The scars that you're looking at.
Oh, right. All right, I've got them down on the character sheet right now. I have addictive variation tied to memory thief. I have our mystery scar. I have tabula rasa. That's going to be tied to the second variation, which will be seeing frequent use. So again, thinking a lash at the moment, since I do need this character to be somewhat combat capable. But depending on how this goes, actually, if I'm starting with an unentangled scar, I think I could start out with the lash and then pick up Shadows of the Past later, because Shadows of the Past was the other variation I was thinking of picking up and using frequently. So I'll probably have tabula rasa tied to lash, and then once I get the XP, I'll pick up Shadows of the Past, and this character can start doing some investigative heavy lifting.
Cool, awesome.
Yeah, so I'm just going to interrupt whatever you were going to ask next.
Okay. Right.
Just to clarify, so you get a free dot of magnitude, like for a variation on character creation.
Yeah, depending
Nah.
on your
I've read some places, some people say it's you basically, so you can't tack that onto a different variation. So like you just get one free magnitude 1 variation, but then some people were saying, well, you can tack it on, so have like a magnitude 5 variation tied to a 4 scar. What's your stance on this matter?
Ooh. I thought I read something regarding that.
I
thought I did too, and I can't find it.
I think in book it just kind of sets that it's just a free magnitude dot. So you could add it on to a variation, and it's just that particular magnitude for that variation is unentangled. So for that variation, yes, you could have like say a 3 magnitude variation, but a 2 dot scar.
Yeah, that's what
attached to
I
it.
remember reading, honestly.
Yeah.
Or are y'all asking about the scar-free dot?
Yes.
Yeah, that's just a dot that, for the purposes of magnitude when entangling, you don't have to like worry about. And you could also just have it be its own like 1 dot variation that isn't tied to anything, but you can also add it on to a variation that you have at character creation, and it doesn't have to count towards like the variation of the scars. So like you mentioned, you could have a 3 dot variation, including that, scar-free dot tied to a 2 dot scar. And interestingly, if you do that, you could do that thing where you're tying multiple variations to 1 scar, and suddenly you could have your 5 dot scar, and you could still technically have a 5 dot variation under it, and then another 4 dot variation, because the 5th dot of that one variation is the scar-free dot.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah. That was
Also
my
something I may or may
understanding
not
of
be
what I
planning on.
read. So that's my
Efer.
variation time. If you haven't already talked about it, it's time to talk about it.
I was going to say I've got to look it up. I can't find it in the book except back in the glossary. It's a universal one, and I was certainly going to look at telekinesis.
Oops. No. How about I learn how to spell telekinesis? I've actually spelled that word so many times in my life, you would actually think I might know how to spell it. But I do not.
Telekinesis.
It's on page 132.
132, cool. Right. And also in terms of character creation, this is the bit I've read through it before. It's been a little while, but this is the point I somewhat struggled with seeing how it fits together with the scars and the.
So, fit together how?
So it's linked to. So variations are linked to scars, right?
Yes.
How does that work in terms of kind of power levels and so on and so forth?
All right. So, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. If somebody hops in before I think of a way to verbalize it, that's fine.
And magnitude and. So how does it like the magnitude? How does magnitude work, and how does it tie to a scar? I couldn't quite get.
Magnitude is just how powerful,
It
or
is.
basically how big the ability is. If it's a high magnitude variation, it's a powerful ability. If it's a high magnitude scar, it's a big drawback, essentially.
So that
The-
magnitude is your power scale.
Yeah.
Okay, and so the scar that it's tied to can't be higher than they have to be like the same level. Is that right?
No.
A scar can be
Not
higher level, but the
necessarily.
variation can't be.
With the exception of the scar-free dot.
Except the
Yeah,
scar-free
so-
dot, yes.
So normally, if you had a magnitude 3 scar, you could plug in one magnitude 3 variation. If it's not magnitude 3, it's basically 1 minus, so you could have 2 2s or 3 1s,
Okay,
all under the same scar.
right. Okay, so the amount of dots can be like reattributed across multiple variations, but you always have to have less. Is that right, or equal to?
Yeah,
You
less
just can't
or
have more.
equal to.
Less or
Yeah,
equal to.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll get this more when we start playing. There's always
Yeah.
something in the game that I don't
It's all
quite
good.
that I can't quite work out until we're actually in game.
Yeah.
Deviant
But yeah.
is very
But
crunchy
yeah,
at character
telekinesis, yes.
creation.
But yeah, telekinesis, because
and telekinesis is directed, tiered, and toggled.
Right. Yeah.
And then, like, if you were to tie it to involuntary stimuli, that would also mean that, let's say you get hit with... I'm just gonna keep memeing on the Subway part of it. Let's say you get hit with a Subway sandwich across the face, your telekinesis would just go off and kick the person in the face, maybe. Of course, that is an absolutely absurd combination, but I had to get those words out of my system, otherwise I was going to explode.
Okay, so next question. What magnitude can we start at with that one?
So, you can start off with any amount of magnitude scars. That's not limited. What is limited is your variations.
Yeah. So how many dots do we get in variations? If they can be upgraded, or do they all start at 1?
They can be upgraded.
Okay.
And your total variation magnitude is 2. With the exception of the free scar magnitude that...
So you should have 3 magnitudes of
Yeah.
variations in general, but 2 of them have to be entangled to scars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
And
if we have as many scars as we want at start, are we able to just upgrade the variations entangled with them during play, or I'm not sure how that works. I know that you can spend 4 XP to get a new variation, but if you're starting with a stronger scar that's already entangled with a very small variation,
So for that,
there's something that prevents you from just boosting that during first session.
you would need to suffer a medium or major instability during that scene in order to increase it.
Yeah, it's tied to the instabilities.
well, it's healing a medium instability or major, I believe, that nets you more scars or increased scar levels. But
Yeah.
the thing with upgrading or getting new variations, if a scar and a variation are tied together and the scar's magnitude goes up during play, so does the magnitude of the variation tied to it. But if you were to start play for some reason, if you were a glutton for pain, for instance, with a 5 magnitude scar for the sake of example, and you had only a 2 magnitude variation tied to it, then theoretically you couldn't keep upgrading that scar or the variation. But what you could do is, with that whole buying new variations thing, is you could then buy 3 more magnitude 2 variations to tie to it, or a 4 dot magnitude variation, or whatever fits on the table. There's a neat little table in the book that shows how you can divide that.
The table is on...
Right, but what if I wanted to upgrade the 2 dots variation that's already entangled with it?
If it's
Is there
entangled,
anything that stops me from that?
only if it's entangled to a 5 dot scar. As long as the scar itself can still be upgraded, then so can the variations tied to it.
Can you untangle things?
No.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can up a variation with a 5 dot scar, but it says it may only be used to increase the magnitude of an existing entangled variation during a scene in which the deviant suffered a medium or major instability.
Alright, so there is a way to do it. That's good.
Yeah, so you would have to suffer an instability with your magnitude 5 scar in this case, and then the
variation can go up.
would go up 1.
Right.
So there is a way to do
And
it.
that's a medium or major instability?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
basically a
Okay.
lethal or ag. Essentially.
Got it. Thank you all for explaining that.
Okay, so here's the next theoretical question that
Oh no.
I think I know the answer to. So say you have an untangled magnitude 5 scar. It's 4 XP to get a variation. However, what if you want it like just 5 1-dot variations? Do you have to spend like 20 XP? Or is it
Believe so,
5
yeah.
to 4 and...
No, you spend 20 XP.
Alright, well, I guess we're going all in.
Also, this is the time because this
It was
got
brought up.
Yeah, and it was also brought up in the conversation I had with Vess. This is more so for the older players.
Is it different now?
We are changing the XP system. We are not giving out 3
I don't
XP.
like change. I do.
What do you mean? I need
No,
to...
set in my ways.
Because of how easy beat farming is in Deviant. My conversion of every beat into an experience point is not going to... It would get out of hand very, very, very quickly.
But my variations.
Yeah, what about our variations, man?
Hey now. Hey now, Essence, you're
I
not
wanna-
allowed to pile
I
on here.
My goal is a new variation every session.
I want to be playing God by the end of session 3. It's-
Well,
You just
you
wanna
missed
have a
it. You
toolbox.
already played Mage.
Oh, we can play it Mage next. I love Mage. That's my
Alright,
game line. That's my game line.
So,
Oh no.
with that being said, I think probably the best course of action here is we are going to just do beats. I'm still going to do 3 beats at the end of a session. So beats are still accelerated to an extent.
Okay.
I also think I am going to pull the beat system from Hunter. What that is basically they do a variation of beats for everybody. Basically, all the beats at the end of the session get totaled and then split evenly amongst the players.
So like group beats. We have a collective
yeah.
pool of beats that we can
that's-
all communicate in. Okay.
it's like an optional rule that
Yeah.
so you all pull it and then it gets divided by 6.
Instead of just like everybody individually like having their own little tab. I like that a lot better.
Yeah.
So
So also,
it-
I would like to ask, is anybody really good at milking beats and wants to keep track of said beats? Okay.
We have a
Essence,
volunteer. Good. He's our
so
beat
that's
man.
right there.
the beat maestro. Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been able to volunteer. I don't milk beats, but I do typically milk willpower in other game lines than Deviant. You don't really milk willpower in Deviant.
Okay. So, I will leave the questions about, okay, did anybody complete an aspiration? Did anybody do a condition? I'll leave those to you at the end of sessions.
Okay. Awesome. You'll be seeing a lot of dramatic failures from me. Don't worry.
Oh,
I
I am perfectly.
love them. I love them.
I'm perfectly fine with dramatic failures, as long as they don't involve planes.
Oh,
Just
Well, you see,
there's got to be some room for like
Yeah, that's
survivability. Some room.
here's a story.
we're not talking about it.
It was a good story, though.
This is a story about a man named Joseph Joestar.
Let's just say there was a character named Edmund who decided to take dramatic failures on piloting rolls and then made the memorable quote, "Oh, don't worry about the flames on the engine. They make the plane go faster."
I see.
Also, what was your dice pool for those rolls?
This was a character built to be a pilot, and I failed every piloting roll with a dice pool of like 8.
I've got a related story. This was like my very first Chronicles campaign ever. Like, this was my introduction to the tabletop, and not to tabletop games in general, but to Chronicles.
Right.
And it started out as like a Immortals campaign. I built a like outdoorsy survivalist oriented character. They became a sin eater while trying to cross a river. They slipped, failed like a couple of different rolls, survival and athletics related rolls, hit their head and drowned.
Hey, that sounds really familiar. I feel like
Nice.
somebody hit their head and drowned in my Sin Eater game.
The difference being, this was a
This wasn't planned, I imagine.
yeah,
Yeah,
and also and also not an outdoorsy survivalist.
It's like a relatively shallow river too.
oh no. So,
It's-
merits. And as for the Manticore merit, I feel like that's something I would want to talk to the person more directly about. So, if you want to take it, you have to run your idea completely by me and we will discuss it. Obviously, I feel like that conversation might take a little bit longer, so we will do that over Discord. So, how is everybody feeling on character creation at this moment? We've covered most things, with the exception of
I've only done,
the single aspiration.
but I'm the only one who's done variations, and a variation as well.
Oh, my bad. I think I remember Vess talking about their variations already. Because you kind of tied them into the
Sorry,
scar.
Bess. Yeah. Just to make sure there's no crossover there, Bess, what are you doing?
Let's see. I'm doing Memory Thief tied to Addictive Variation. Then I'm going to have a second variation tied to Tabula Rasa, and that's going to be the variation I'm using really frequently to get as many Tabula Rasa triggers as possible. So my character is losing their memory and is more prompted to use Memory Thief.
Okay. Do you know what
Probably
that variation is?
Yeah,
Not right,
it's most
okay,
likely
cool.
going to be Lash, and then the
All
third
right.
variation I'm going to pick up in Tied to Amnesia is going to be Shadows of the Past. I was just
Okay,
deciding
cool.
between picking up Shadows of the Past or Lash first, and it's
All right.
likely going to be Lash.
Okay, cool. And how many dots do we have in variations at character creation? Or is that
3.
Yeah.
three? Okay.
And the free
2
dot.
plus
And-
the Scar-Free dot.
Yeah. Yeah, so 2 of them specifically have to be tied to a scar. One of them can be just free floating or can up the magnitude of one of the others.
Yeah, and not that you can really do it with only 3 dots, but you can take variations from the other clades, but you
Yeah.
always need over half of your total variations to be either universal or your specific character's one.
It doesn't have to be
cool.
over half, it just has to be at least half.
Oh, it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
okay.
Just,
For more.
Half or
Yep, half or more.
Char.
Wait, sorry, what was the question? I thought I
We're
mentioned
talking
that
about
already.
variations.
Okay, so monster transformation. His brain turns into that of an animal, and he turns into what would be called the everywhere beast, where he turns into this squid lizard thing that breaks off into multiple versions of itself. Basically just gigantic and shadow cells are tied into that. And the hive mind that he turns into can't attack yet, but it can at least be very good for diversion. And then just a dot in superhuman strength.
Superhuman strength. Let me double check that one real quick. I know that's probably like the most simple one that you mentioned, and I'm like, I need to double check that one just to make sure.
It makes it so that you're at a minimum of 4 dots in strength. Does not increase scar power, but like for skills and such and attributes, it counts as a minimum of 4 or the strength +1 if you are at 4.
The specific variation you're looking for is superhuman attribute.
All right. Gandhi,
Yes. All right. So
I know there's a little
I-
crossover there.
yeah, I have not built the lash yet, but so yeah, I took involuntary stimulus with the other bestial mind tied into it. I immediately put it at 5 because I might as well just immediately suffer. You know how it goes.
Enjoy pain.
Yeah, but yeah, I've tied that to monstrous transformation. It's at it has to be 2 dots. So I put the 1 free dot into it. So what was I going to do with that? Sorry, I wrote it. I'll be putting that'll give me Inhuman Digestion 1 and a Lash 1. I haven't built the Lash yet. I have to check what you get for Lash 1. I think it's 3. It could just be going insane though.
Lash 1, I think, is 1 effect, and
Is
Lash
it
2
1?
is 3.
Okay. Well, 1 effect then. We'll figure it out. And then I took a second Scar, I took a Bane, and I tied it to superhuman attribute, but stamina. At 1 dot.
All right, so more tanky. So Essence, you're up next.
For my variations, I was gonna go for my 2 dots to be shot into Shadow Selves. And for my Scar-free variation, it has to be subtle because I'm genotypal, so I was actually gonna put it into Body Snatcher, which I think might be a fun one for this character and how he likes to do things. As for like Scar levels for hallucination, I'm still debating it on. I have Shadow Selves entangled with hallucinations already, so it's persistent toggled.
Mm-hmm.
And so 2 out of either 3 or 4 magnitude dots of hallucination is attunable. Shadow Selves. I'm still debating.
So many.
Right now I have. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so many people have hallucinations. This game, nobody's gonna know what's real.
I can also change it to glitch.
No,
Honestly, glitch makes more sense narratively.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just chuckling over the fact that nobody's gonna know what's real in this chronicle.
A glitch also includes unseen stimuli to an extent. Or at least it mentions it. It's like your character is acting on information that isn't there or something to that. I forget exactly what it says, but could be hallucinations.
Actually,
So- Even with glitch, you're not free.
yeah, I think I might go with glitch. Glitch is more punishing.
Uh,
I don't need willpower.
I do like how much Deviant inflicts pain upon the characters at start. I am enjoying that. Hooter.
Yeah, so I was gonna take Carapace and tie that to Conspicuous Appearance, and then a Rapid Healing to tie into Fragility. So the abyssal entity that's fused with the character is slowly changing them physically, which makes them worried that, I'm not going to be human anymore, which also leads them to think, what about my mind? Is my mind going to go next?
So you have fragility tied to the healing?
Rapid Healing.
Rapid healing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Ow, that really hurts, but I'm gonna heal from it.
You're just going to be rubber banding back and forth and brink of death.
Yeah. That'll take a toll on the mind, won't it?
So, with that being said, have the character concepts more come into focus at this point?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I decided glitch for magnitude. So
So, this is probably going to be the one that takes the longest, because It inevitably always does. Pooter, we're
Hmm?
going to start with you.
Hmm?
Give us your character name, character concept, and their aspiration.
Well, you know the concept already. Name was going to be Alice. Aspiration. I have not thought of an aspiration quite yet because I don't know the immediate setting.
The immediate setting, since this... You guys have recently escaped since the incident happened. Not enough time has really gone by for you guys to have started any major long-term products. It's mostly, oh, thank goodness we're free. However, you guys are aware that remnants of the conspiracy still remain and are actively looking for you. So it's one of those things, your characters would be somewhat worried about leaving Washington, D.C. because travel is being somewhat monitored at this point. So you could be flagged within a system.
Okay. So aspiration could be to set up a safe space to hunker down and hide until such time has passed that at least maybe a window of opportunity might present itself to get out.
Okay. Do you have a last name? You know how I am. I like last
I
names.
don't. I don't have a last name. I can think of one in a few minutes.
Pull up the name generator.
Name generator, Google.
Name generator on.
Char. Same 3 questions. Character's name, their concept, and their aspiration.
So his name is Rick Maybank or Freddie Maybank, but never Frederick. His background, born in Ohio, ran off towards the West Coast to deal with entertainment industry nonsense. He's lived in Vegas for the last 5 years. Ran off to eventually his sort of his maybe ex, maybe boyfriend. They never established boundaries on that relationship. Moved out to DC or to Virginia, and he went to go follow him, and that's when he got got.
That's way.
And his aspiration is to get in touch with his maybe boyfriend, maybe ex.
All right.
Very healthy relationship.
Definitely.
Okay. Essence.
He calls himself Desmond. His actual designation for the conspiracy was probably some sort of serial number, probably Delta 571 something.
Yeah.
He probably refuses absolutely to just kind of be called that, given to his prior exposure and experience with the outside world, and is like, people have names. I don't have to be called like a number anymore. So that's really nice. So I'd imagine with him, in regards to his aspirations and what he wants to pursue following his escape, is uncovering more about, well, obviously about the conspiracy, but more specifically in regards to the nature of what happened to him, possibly hunting down other researchers connected with his mother, which he knows very little of, to basically find out like what the research was about and how that applies to really all the other insane, murderous vagabonds that he's now grouped up with. So, yeah, I'd say definitely more just uncovering more of his mother's research would be his aspiration.
All right. Live.
So I've got essentially a the way I describe it is a mixture of Frenchie from The Boys and Eleven from Stranger Things, who's the result of several generations going back to the Cold War. So his grandmother was part of a Cold War experiment, which instigated this whole chain of events.
It's always
that
cool.
resulted in him ending up always Russian experiment.
Exactly.
That's a Russian experiment. So she was the one that went into the experimentation back in the late 60s. She then defected to France, and where his mother was born, and then later him. And it was him. He was the one that started actually showing the symptoms that were then from this project back in Russia almost half a century ago. So aspirations are obviously kind of being put into the program as well to kind of get a handle on what he could do and actually get some level of control over it. But it's aspirations to find out like more about that project as well. Is there a way, and is there something else to like reverse the effects of it? That's what he wants. I realise full well that is going to make him absolutely useless as a character, so that's not what I want. His name is Andre Monet.
All right. Gandhi.
Things are obviously still prone to being shifted around as I
A little bit, yeah.
change things, but I think the current working concept, the National Guard reservist who got reached out to come get a promotion, save your country, and he's that sounds pretty damn good. So
Who?
well, I mean, this may have been a bad decision, maybe not, I don't know. He did do it willingly, though. He did sign on with the conspiracy. He might not have known exactly that he didn't know what was going on, but he did it willingly anyways. And what was the name? I don't know the name, sue me. I'll put it in a generator later. Aspirations. Again, the aspirations might change based on how the opening game runs, but I think the big long-term thing he wants to do is we'll figure out who was actually in the right in the conspiracy, because obviously it exploded into bickering factions, but he wasn't really there long enough to know why it did that. And obviously he still wants to help the country out, but are these really the people to do it? That's what he wants to figure out.
Vess?
So I don't have a name yet, since the name is usually the absolute last thing I decide for a character, but as far as aspirations go, I'm thinking of uncovering why they are the way that they are. I'm imagining the character as a guy. Not super sure on that yet. I usually just decide genders at random, but imagining him as a dude, so. But, I'm thinking for aspirations, he's gonna wanna figure out how he ended up within the conspiracy, or ended up diverged, and why the current state of things is in effect.
All right, so we've covered most of it. Now, I do realize there's still the conversation of loyalty and conviction touchstones. I had not forgotten about those. But we are on the 2-hour mark, so I wanted to confirm with everybody if you guys wanted to continue or call it here, and then we would pick back up next week to finish fleshing out things.
I could say that we could finish up next week or so in regards, or we can just also communicate with each other just offline to finish up a couple of things relating to that.
a couple of things, we could do that in like Discord chat.
I'm fine with that. I have a couple things I need to do, so I'm fine with ending it here, continue it either later or in the chat.
All right. It seems like okay. So the way I'll put it is, if we finish things in chat, in the actual Discord chat, we can expect session 1 next week. We'll just go straight into session 1. If things don't get filled out within the next week, then we will hop back on and finish things up. Obviously.
Session 0.5.
Yep, session
0.5.
1.5. Are there any further questions for me?
No.
Are we free to just keep? Are we free to keep fine-tuning our character sheets till session 1?
Yes.
As long as we let you know any changes.
Any major changes, if you move like a skill dot somewhere else, I don't particularly need to be notified about that. But if you change like a scar or a variation, that's something, yeah, let me know.
Absolutely.
All right. Also, is my camera working now, or is it still flickering?
It's still
It's still
flickering.
flickering.
Flickering,
And you're also
and
the body.
yeah, the audio's been a little bit robotic.
Okay, I'm gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the best that I can say is just it just says video packet loss as an indicator of video preview. Green is good, red is bad, and yours has been consistently red the entire time. So it seems like there's a connection issue. And it's not directly to the site. It seems to be just a general connection issue, since it's also affecting Discord's voice.
All right.
Might need to hit your router with a 2x4.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out because I've got nothing. There's nothing wrong on my end, so I don't know what's going on.
All right, so my last 3 things are, or 2 things, I guess I should say, is, first of all, if you have anything fancy you want to wear, I actually, for some reason, own a lab coat.
Hey, nice.
Some
So-
reason.
You want me to go put my lab coat on that they made me buy?
Gandhi has a real one.
Mine's real too. I bought it.
Yeah, no, but yours was for cosplay.
Yeah.
His is for doing medical
Stupid
stuff.
uniforms, because nobody in my profession wears a damn lab coat.
So it's not a requirement, but if you feel fancy and want to do it, I more than support your decision to do so. Also,
Slouch beanie it is.
the next thing, if you have a character description, which you probably should, honestly, get it over to Live as soon as possible. Live has connections and will be getting us character art, but
Ooh.
the
Nice.
the caveat to that is they are busy with other projects. They're doing this for us for free, so the sooner we get them to them, the sooner they get done, essentially. So
Okay.
I always recommend try to get them to them today if possible.
I was thinking of commissioning my own, but this is good too. I will I'll look around and brainstorm. As for the rest of the character creation process, it doesn't generally take me too long to figure out the rest of the sheet, and the naming process generally doesn't take me more than like a day or 2.
Yeah.
It's a kind of involved naming process, but it's not like too bad.
Yeah, once I get everybody's names, I will be once I get everybody's character names, I will be updating the overlay with your character names, your origin symbol, and your clad symbol, since I have access to those. And
Nice.
I might do something special with the character portraits this time around, since I'm upgrading certain quality things as well. But I'm still working on that one right now.
I did end up going with volunteer for the origin, by the way, but my character doesn't know that.
Okay.
They forgot they
I
volunteered.
forgot.
Nice.
I thought it would be part of their aspiration.
Excellent.
Well,
So,
volunteer.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
didn't quite know.
With that, assuming that we figure out the conviction and loyalties, we will see everybody for session 1 next week, or session 0.5 if we don't. See everybody
Okay.
next week.
All right. See
Bye.
y'all next week. Bye.
See you later.